Hi everyone, it's Abhijeet here. I hope you are doing well and safe. We have with us Veer Varma, who is the founder of the startup called Coach Direct. So I'll give you a brief introduction about him. He's a very interesting personality, and I'm sure you will learn a lot from him. So he did his MBA from Cambridge University. He worked with a lot of investment banks abroad and in India. And then he chose his passion and moved back to India and started a startup called Coach Direct. And with that, he is promoting fitness and mental health to the society, especially to the children, where most of the energy is concentrated on studies. So his startup is working actively in Bangalore, Hyderabad, and Chennai. So I am very happy and I'm very glad to have you on the show, Veer sir.
Excellent. That's a great introduction. Thank you so much, Abhijeet, for having me.
So tell me, what is your, like, you had a great job. For in many people's account, working abroad is in itself an achievement, and then being in working with financial banks is a huge deal for a lot of people. So why you chose to drop it and then start a whole new venture? What was your motivation? What was your why behind it?
Sure, Abhijeet. I think you kind of summarized it very well because, as you said, this is my passion. This is what I've been doing since childhood. So, since childhood, I've been playing a lot of racket sports, tennis, squash, badminton. So, all these things have always kept me motivated and interested in sports. And as you rightly said, there's a lack of awareness in India. Parents do not appreciate the value of sports in India, and uh, there are either two extremes, right? There are parents who are pushing the children to the top level sports, like playing, who are playing for national, international level. That's fine. There always been some national level, international level players, but the grassroots is all flat. There's nothing happening at the grassroots level at all. But that was the that was the space where we wanted to be. That's the space where Coach Direct thought we could add some value because we feel the need for sports promotion at the grassroots level, where everybody can be engaged in a healthy lifestyle. Basically, that was the motive behind Coach Direct. And after spending so many years in the corporate life, it started to get on to me that I would like to do something which is more closer to my heart and which is going to give something back to the society. And I felt this was an excellent avenue to go and explore. So, and here I am speaking to you. So that's the
So,
journey.
so how old is Coach Direct?
Oh, it's actually quite old because we actually started out very small in way back in 2011,
Oh,
but it was in a different shape because we were
hmm.
focusing on these gated sports facilities. So we were focusing on that specific area at that time. But as a formal company, we have launched ourselves in 2015
Mhm.
when we have started working with more organized institutions like number of schools in Bangalore and a few corporates where we are working with, etc. So it's become more formal entity in 2015, but the journey starts way back in 2011.
So, so when you came back to India, what was the biggest challenge you were facing? Because personally, when I was in school, I finished my schooling in 2012, and during those 2008 9, I had literally no schooling in sports or physical wellness. It was just for namesake. So when you came back to India, 2012, I'm sure you have researched, you did research a lot about it. What was the condition then in 2011, 12 when you started, and now a decade after it? Are we improving? Have we improved? Have the parents been proactive, more intelligent? What do you think?
Absolutely. So I'm very pleased to say that. So when we started, it was a bit of a struggle, as is with any startup, because we have to educate the parents, and there were very few competitors for us at that point of time. There were very few other sports companies who are focusing on the grassroots. So it was difficult to convince the parents that there was a need to engage the children in a constructive way. But I'm very glad to say that things have changed. So over the last decade, or nearly a decade, people have taken much more awareness, much more interest, thanks to some very well-known celebrities like the in the badminton
Yeah.
world or in the boxing world, on athletics and so on. India has done quite well in the last decade
Yeah.
as well. So I think that kind of sparked the parents' enthusiasm as well for sports. However, there is a negative side to it as well because there's a lot of expectation that my kid goes for
Yes.
coaching for a year or two and they would come to become PV Sindhu or
Hmm.
something. But that's not the reality. You don't just enter sports to become PV Sindhu. You enter sports to become a better person overall. So that I think that still needs a little bit of mindset change. But I think it's good. At least we are moving in the right direction.
So I think you have highlighted a very important point because sports doesn't teach you about the sports itself, but it teaches you about life as well. It teaches
Yeah.
you how to accept the defeat, how to behave properly in a win, and there are a lot of celebrities who have come out and publicly told that their gym or whatever sports they are playing, jiu-jitsu, martial art, from that they've learned a lot about life as well. So when children are interested in sports or highly involved in sports, it's a very good thing because they're not only learning about sports, they're learning about life aspects as well. So we what do you think about a children in today's school who is mostly inclined towards studies because of the uh, their parents force as well. So when a child come to you, how do you shape that child? What is your process?
Sure. So actually, to be honest, Abhijit, more than this fixation on the academics, I find the problem nowadays is the fixation on digital gadgets.
Yeah.
So that's the greatest challenge for us.
Yes.
So children are glued
PUBG.
to these video games and all these things that they have on the mobile phones and stuff, which is the most difficult challenge for us to bring them out of those virtual gaming to a real sports environment on the field. I feel that is the biggest challenge now. Instead of because they'll be happy to come out of school, they'll be happy to come out of academics. It's okay,
Yeah.
but to get them out of the digital world into a real physical world is the challenge,
Yes.
if you ask me. And so it needs some motivation, some persuasion, and some consistency to achieve that. So obviously, children respond to positive psychology, right? So if you are able to motivate them in a positive way, tell them the benefits, and show them little rewards for whatever they do, even appreciation. The rewards could just be appreciation. Reward them in the right way, they will change their attitude and they'll see the benefit of this.
Yeah.
So I
Yeah.
think it needs a little bit of gentle hand holding, but it can be done.
So, one very important aspect is family, because when a child is growing, the most influential part in the child's mentality is the family. So,
Yeah.
if you have to give knowledge to the family to, how to shape their child so that he is not too much into studies or not too much into sports and not too much into social media nowadays, but like how can you inform a family or how can you help a family so that they can help their child find a balance between everything?
Yeah, good point. So as you said, the real beauty of life is to strike the balance between your
Yes.
mind, body, and soul. And that's the vision of Coach Direct now. We have recently rephrased ourselves that we're going to be focusing on this space to create that perfect balance of harmony. And so, if we were to say how to strike that balance, so you have to see that each of these things will give you different things. So, sports is giving you a health and fitness for the body, and it's giving you this life skills for the mind, and it's giving you a sense of achievement, satisfaction for the soul. So it's kind of complete there. So probably that is the space we can pitch at to the parents, because the other things that you mentioned, like studies, is only give you intellectual knowledge, and these games are not really going to give you anything but
Yeah.
except for
Yeah.
entertainment value. So that is where sports can be pitched in, because it's something which is wholesome. This is the
Yeah.
only thing where a person can develop in all aspects. So that is the thing that we need to educate to parents, and yeah, hopefully they will start seeing the value.
So I was scrolling through your website and I saw that there are a lot of sports in which you coach, right? So as a founder yourself, how difficult it is to hire a coach, because your coach represents your values, your startup. So he's the face for you. So how do you hire a coach? You know?
Yeah, good point. Um, so it is important in coaching field to have specialists, and that's the difference between sports versus some other thing. Like you have a lot of training institutes doing attitude training, behavioral training, and all. Whereas the sports, it's very difficult because you have to have a specialist in that area, because each sport is unique. So, for example, I teach professionally badminton and yoga, but if you ask me to teach something else, I'm no good at it. So I can only have my own niche in certain areas. So it is important that we expand, because one person cannot do it all. So we need to have a good base of team, and it is important, as you said, to hire the right set of people who communicate those values, who are aligned with the vision of the company, who are able to do a good job of what they are asked to do so. So the process itself is both on an attitude and an aptitude level. So from an aptitude level, it is very simple, because you have the skill set. Maybe they're certified in a certain sport, or maybe they have played at a certain level, at a district, state level, or something. And maybe they have carried some experience of coaching in that particular area. So it is easy. That's the easy part. To hire someone just based on aptitude is the most easiest part anybody can do.
Yes.
The more difficult part is the attitude.
Yeah.
So that is where we cannot afford to make mistakes. And unfortunately, it is a place where you have to have a lot of trust and a little bit of iterations that go on, because you cannot obviously get 100% right every time. So you hire a coach based on the face-to-face interviews and references and so on, uh, hoping that would be enough. But you never know, because you can never go inside somebody's mind and understand what their values are, whether they're aligning to your company and so on. But at least we try to do that. We try to go through references. We try to do a thorough interview. We try to see them do a demo class, so that we see their how are they doing their are they being balanced while dealing with children and all that. But it's never 100%, to be honest. The attitude picking is the most difficult part.
Yeah. So you mentioned that you are a coach in yoga, and I find yoga very fascinating field. But for me, and I'm sure there are a lot of people who doesn't know the difference between meditation and yoga, because I can find the difference easily between physical activity or yoga or meditation. But I don't know, and I'm sure very most of the people in the audience also don't know the difference between yoga and a meditation. Like, can you help us with that?
Oh, yeah, sure, sure. It's my pleasure. So, actually, yoga is neither a sport nor a mental activity. Actually, yoga, if you get the definition correctly, is a lifestyle, is a way of living, basically. That's what yoga is. So it's much more than your physical or mental activity, and it encompasses a whole set of practices. And you might have heard of this term called Ashtanga yoga. That's the original term that was coined by Patanjali, the founder of yoga from India.
Okay.
So Ashtanga yoga is an eightfold path. I will not go into details of each of those eight folds, but there are certain elements like speaking the truth, practicing celibacy, all these things are also part of a yogic life. So these are all included, that it becomes a whole package. So it's the way you live, the way you have purity in your thought, in your body, and so on. So it's much more than just a physical or mental activity. However, having said that, just for common people's understanding, I can divide yoga into three parts, just so that it's easy for people
Right.
to understand. So one is the asanas part. Everybody knows
Yes.
that, especially in India, we all learned Surya Namaskara and all when we were young. So that is the asana part. People are comfortable; they understand that part. So that's the first part. The second part would be what you told about the meditation and breathing aspects of it, pranayama and meditation, wherein you are trying to align your mind, because yoga is like controlling your mind also. It's like calming your mind. So you do that through techniques like meditation and through breathing practices and all. So that's the second aspect of yoga. And the third aspect of yoga is something like there are some rituals like kriyas and all, wherein you
Yeah,
cleanse yourself.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. I've heard.
some like jalaleti and all those things. So that's the other part of yoga. So it's a package altogether. All these three things make up yoga. It's very complex, but very fascinating indeed.
So is meditation a part of yoga? Like while you
Yeah,
are
yeah,
doing
absolutely.
yoga?
Absolutely. Yeah, yeah, sure. So yoga asanas, pranayama and meditation, and the third part is the kriyas and bandhas.
Do you teach children as well the yoga?
Yeah, yeah, we do. So we engage with a number of schools, and there is more emphasis on the physical part of yoga. So out
Okay.
of the three elements that I mentioned, we're going to spend a lot of time on the asanas part of yoga. We're going to spend a little bit of time because the minds are very young. So we can only spend a little bit of time on pranayama and meditation. And we hardly do any kriyas and bandhas because
Yeah.
they're too young for it.
And one more important topic which is related with meditation yoga is mental health. And you
Mhm.
recently seen a case which was highlighted and was very unfortunate. Uh, the death of Sushant Singh Rajput. Like he had all the money, he had all the fame, but he still had some problems which was going into his mind. So you yourself as a life and wellness fitness coach. So like how do you know when someone is coming to you and he has some mental not problems but some imbalances like where he is not satisfied with his or her life, how do you help that person?
Yeah, sure. So it's very relevant, and I'm very glad you brought this topic up. So yeah, very unfortunate incident itself, what has happened, and we are into coaching. So we are into life coaching and emotional health and emotional coaching. So this is very different from the counseling aspect of psychology,
Yeah.
because the thing that we need to educate now in India is that you don't approach a coach, a life coach, or somebody for help only when you have a mental issue. That's not the reality. You can be absolutely healthy
Oh,
in every term of your mental health, physical health, and all. But still, you may need some emotional support because we are all human.
yes.
We all need someone to share our feelings, someone to share our thoughts, someone to guide us, someone to mentor us. So these are real needs because we are all real human beings. So that is the aspect that we need to educate the people now. And uh, I should not be judging uh, the actor that has passed away, but perhaps that's where there was a lack. Perhaps the actor had no proper guidance
Could have been.
on this emotional support of side of things, because perhaps he had no problems with mentally. He was probably 100% healthy mentally because he was a successful actor as well, right? So it's just that even successful people, a common man, whoever it is, we're all human, and we need to have some sort of a support, a shoulder to go back and rely on when we need to share our feelings. And the key thing is that everybody will have goals. Everybody would need to have some way to motivate themselves to achieve those goals. So that's where a life coach or a mentor can help anybody, and that's the space we are trying to fit in. So we can't help people who are having mental issues because that's where psychologists and on all counselors and psychologists go. But we are going to help people who are absolutely normal and who would like us to, guide them and counsel them and coach them in real life aspects on their real life goals.
So I think which is a very rare case, because I think in India people will only come to you in this mental domain only when they have problems. Otherwise, they won't come. Right.
Yes, that's the challenge right now.
So I'm very sure that it is a very hard task for you to convince people that it's not a taboo or something that you can't come to us and take our help. If you are normal as well, it will only help you.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's the challenge. That's what we're trying to. That's the message we're trying to get across now.
Yeah. So you are currently in Bangalore, right?
That's right. I'm based out of Bangalore. We do have offices in Hyderabad and Chennai, but the head office is in Bangalore, and I mostly work out of here.
So I was in Bangalore 2 weeks back, and then I shifted to my hometown. And 2 weeks back, I think 3 or 3.5 weeks back, Bangalore lifted the ban, the not the ban, the
Yeah, the lockdown.
lockdown. Yeah, thanks.
Yeah.
So like before that lockdown, it was 2.5, 2 months period, and everyone was inside their home. Did you think about launching something that will help people mentally and physically, like they can train themselves mentally and physically within their home? Did you think about any product during that time?
Well, actually, this whole life coaching thing itself has been motivated by this lockdown and
Okay.
seeing that people are stressed and all that. So that's the product that I can talk about. But apart from that, the other thing that we're working on is you can't keep children locked down at homes all the time. So that's the place we want to get into. So there are certain schools who are asking us to do online activities for children. So that's what we're working on right now. So we're building some programs which can be easily be handled. So certain activities like yoga, martial arts, chess, and so on, which can be done easily online, because you can't play football and badminton easily on online. But there are certain physical activities which you can do in a more effective way. So that's what we're working on right now.
So if I may ask you a question, it can be a tricky one. Did you think when the Bangalore government lifted the lockdown, was it the correct decision? Like, um, most importantly, keeping the health of people in mind, or should they have extended the lockdown?
Very, very tricky question, Abhijeet. You're putting me into politics now.
Because it's your business
um,
which was in jeopardy during the lockdown.
Yeah, but that's true. I can speak as a businessman, saying that it did affect our business quite badly, because almost everyone in the fitness industry has suffered a lot. There are a lot of gyms, there are a lot of fitness trainers, lots of sports coaches completely shattered
Yeah.
during this lockdown. So I can resonate with that absolutely. But about government decisions and all, I'm not
Yeah.
quite the right person. I'd rather stay out of it. I do appreciate everybody's trying to do their best, and yeah, there could be bad decisions, there could be good decisions, but end of the day, we're all in it together.
Yeah, especially with the population of our nation side, it's very difficult. Yeah. So, like in today's world, there are many, people who quit their jobs, and they want to start their own startup. So I want to know from your point of view. Just a second. Yeah. So I want to know from your point of view, when you thought of starting this startup, like what was the difficulties you faced? How was the journey? I want to know. Suppose you want to explain a person how to start their own startup. What will you be telling that person?
Yes, sure. This is my favorite topic. I also mentor businesses and startups.
Right.
So yeah, so it's very different, very different. Your life as a employee and your your life as an entrepreneur are completely different. So to start with, the whole mindset itself needs to change, because a lot of people come with this thought that you can have your own startup, you can have your own way of life, you have
Yeah.
your independence, and you don't need to work for anybody and all that. But in fact, in my personal opinion, it's you need to put a lot more effort than what you were putting as an employee,
Completely.
because this is your own baby. You can't let it die. So it's
Yeah.
not like you had in when you were an employee, you had so many other things that you can fall back to. You had your colleagues, you had your boss, you had your HR, finance, and so on, other departments and stuff. Whereas when you are running your own company, you don't have any of the support functions.
Yeah.
It's just you and you and maybe your partner, but that's it. That's just you. So you have to do everything. You may have to clean the floor. You may have to go run around getting photocopy paper, whatever it is. You have to
Mm.
do everything starting from scratch. So that's the mindset you need to change. So if you're ready for it, only then you go for it. The second thing is apart from that, there is a lot of risk that you need to be aware of. Take a risk, because as you know, only five
Yes.
percent of startups ever get successful. 95% fail.
Yes.
So it's very easy to get failed due to whatever reason. So you have to be ready, whether you're ready financially, emotionally, to take that risk. It may fail for all good reasons, and you may not even find an investor. So what would you do then? What's your plan B? So that's something you have to be ready with. And the third most important thing when you want to start a business is you should have a proper business model in mind. A business model is, I can help also with people who are interested in approaching. There's a very detailed and very clear cut document that you can prepare for yourself, which includes things like what is your USP? What's a unique selling point? What is it
Yes.
that makes you different from the others? Who are your partners? Who are you going to sell it with? What is going to be your marketing strength? Some basic questions that you need to ask for yourself, so that you're clear in your mind before you actually make the plunge. I would say you need to get ready with these three things. Otherwise, don't even think of startups right now. So think you're ready for these three questions, and only then you can make the plunge.
And how important financial literacy is, especially when you are doing a startup, because you don't know anything about taxes, you don't know anything about what you say. Um, I am forgetting the word. Rental, like
Yeah,
these properties,
cash flows and
real estate,
yeah, the cash flows and
cash flows and
expenses,
everything.
income. Yeah,
And there are a lot of engineers, there are a lot of people who doesn't have any knowledge about financial literacy, but they jump into the startup and then they eventually fail. So I'm sure you had a good knowledge because you yourself was an MBA and was working with finance banks. Like how important it is, because in my opinion it's very important. What do you think, because you have succeeded, you have experienced? So how important is financial literacy, especially during a
oh,
startup?
yeah, topmost. So two things are very, very important for a businessman. One is financial literacy, as you mentioned, and the second is sales. Because if you can't sell your own product, you cannot possibly expect your salesperson to go and sell it. So the businessman has to be able to be a good salesperson also. So these two things are absolutely critical.
Yeah, yeah. So, so you're working in three top cities in India: Bangalore, Chennai, Hyderabad. Like, were there the same challenges in every city, or you had different challenges in all the cities? I'm sure you had different challenges, but on a top view.
Yeah, I think the chances are different, and also because, to be honest with you, right now our 80% of the business is in Bangalore, because this is our
Okay.
head office,
Okay.
and we have a smaller footprint in Hyderabad and even lesser footprint in Chennai.
Okay.
So the the volume is quite different. So that's the first thing I would like to state. And as you mentioned, there are different nuances. Each city has its own nuances.
Yeah.
The cultures are different. Even though we
Yeah.
are all Indians, there are different cultures for us. Uh, so it's a bit difficult. Also, we're learning to understand how that local market works. So, for example, Chennai, for example, works a lot on referral basis. They don't like in Bangalore. You can just approach anybody, and probably you can convert them.
Okay.
But in Chennai, it may not be the case. You have to have a referral, a proper
Hmm.
referral, and only then you can do business. So these sort of things we are also learning. It's going to be, it's different for each city, but we are learning. We're not yet there. We're still on the journey.
So are you thinking of extending to North India? Like start with a particular place? Do you have anything in mind?
Right now, Abhijit, the good thing about this life coaching thing is the the span is global now, because
Yeah.
this coaching, life coaching, unlike the sports coaching, can be done online,
Yes.
because it's just a video call. It's just a video call.
Yeah.
So what we are trying to do right now is expand our horizon from just being in these three cities to have a global audience now. We want to help everyone across the globe now who needs support in emotional needs. So that's the intention. Of course, it's going to be a slow process. There's going to be a lot of effort put into it, but suddenly, due to this different product that we have in place now, I think the remit is going to be huge.
Hmm. And one very ignored point in India society is we concentrate a lot on children. We concentrate a lot on people between 20 to 30 ages. But we sometimes forget or ignore our older people, our mothers, our grandfathers, our grandparents. So, do you think, or are you thinking of expanding your business to those people as well, to communicate with them and help them?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, it's quite relevant because right now most of our clients are physically active, so they are from that sports background. Many of them are children. Actually, we have most of our clients are children, and there are a few active adults below 40 years who are coaching with us. But yeah, we want to change that now, because we would like to have more and more wellness programs around. Could be yoga, could be about some stress management and so on, for uh, across the spectrum. We don't want to be just focusing on the younger generation. We would like to cover everyone in future. And obviously the life coaching one is definitely there to help anybody across the spectrum. So yeah, we want to be a little bit more stretching ourselves to cover the whole spectrum now.
So I am sure you are a very busy person because you are an entrepreneur yourself. But I would like to know how's a day in Veer Varma's life? What are the things you do? And especially the physical side or the sports side, because you yourself has to keep yourself fit and to keep yourself going. So what is a day in Veer Varma's life? Yeah.
Sure. So I'll start from my own personal physical fitness, and then I'll talk about the business side of it. So I try to play either regularly badminton, or if I cannot do it, I'll try to practice yoga at home. One of these two things. I try to not miss one of these sessions for sure, so that I stay myself healthy, and I can preach more confidently, because if
Yeah.
I don't do it, I can't preach it.
Yeah.
So that's the first thing. So at least I'd like to spend half an hour sometime, or at least an hour. So, or even more than an hour if I'm playing badminton. But some part of the day I will spend on my own physical fitness. That's the first thing I'll do. And coming to the business side of things, I do some coaching myself. So as I told you, I teach yoga, badminton, and recently we got into this life coaching and business coaching, which I'm also getting into. So potentially half of my day is spent on those activities, and the other half of my business goes in managing all the various ones, just to oversee that things are going right.
Yeah.
So as we talked about, there is a lot of work around marketing, there is work around finances, there is work around operations. So a little bit of oversight is required in all of these things, that things are going smoothly. And there will be challenges in an entrepreneur's life. There will be challenges. There will be some issues. So you have to go there, fight the fire. So last minute things will be there. It's a
Yeah.
lot of struggle, as I told you. But that's all fun. We enjoy it. This is what I have signed up for. So I really enjoy it. So that's my business side of it. And the last thing is my personal, my family life. I have two kids and my wife. So I try to spend a little time with them, try to play something with them, so that
Yeah.
it becomes
Yeah.
a complete picture.
Yeah, it's a very interesting and happening life, and it's good. So Veer, I just got a notification from Zoom saying that we won't be able to extend your meeting beyond 40 minutes. So I think we still have 2-3 minutes, but it's better to end before it. Otherwise, we will be stuck in between. I'm sure you enjoy, I'm sure the audience enjoyed the podcast because we had touched upon very interesting topics, and I hope you enjoyed the podcast. And I hope next time when we connect, we have a bigger audience, and we will be facing each other in real life, and we'll record a
Sure.
podcast.
Absolutely. So
Yeah,
you're most welcome. When you come back to Bangalore, let's catch up in my office.
sure. Okay. Thank you so much,
Okay,
Veer.
excellent.
I hope you
Thank
are
you.
keeping well and safe, and take care. Thank you so much.